Hello, hello. All right, Taurus, let's get into this message. This is going to be just an overview for the month of May, the big ticket items. We have a seven of feelings, so the seven of cups. Um, Taurus may actually have like confusion about what they want to do, and they may choose to buy themselves some time. There could be things that, we don't have enough information yet to clearly see what we want to do. By the way, just with the hair covering the face in both the yak and then also on the feminine, it's making me think of Sia. I'm hearing Sia's music in my mind. Uh, Specifically, baby, I'm a house on fire and I want to keep burning. Boy, I'm going to drink you up like oxygen, like oxygen. Um, because baby, I'm a house on fire and I want to keep burning. That's the song in my head right now. So maybe this is about love. Maybe this is like, I don't know what to do other than I'm feeling all kinds of passionate. We've got the tower is here, which can be great because it frees up energy. It unblocks things. I almost feel like Taurus may have a very passionate love affair in the month of May, and like their walls come down, and they don't know what's going to happen with this. They only know they got to try to see where this thing could go. It feels like kind of a wish come true. I don't know. I keep getting this vibe that Taurus has wanted with all the cups, with all the emotions, with all the feelings. This has been confusing, but God, we've got this eight of spirit, which is eight of wands. This is big passion. This is running forward. And we have all of these hares, all of these bunnies. Okay, this is definitely about sensuality, fertility. I kind of think Taurus is taking on a lover. They don't know where this storyline is going to go. This romantic partner could certainly be an Aries. I actually just did an Aries story, by the way. I'll be doing Sag right after this and then Pisces after that. But just FYI, we do have Sag, Leo, Aries. We already did a Leo video, by the way, also yesterday for May. But this just looks really passionate. This is the most passionate Taurus story I think I've seen in a long time. And it's joyful and it's exciting. And I just kind of think that in the month of May, like the dam is going to break. All that passion that Taurus has maybe hidden, I think they're going to surrender to it and say, look, I have no idea what's going to happen between me and this person. I only know that for once in my life, I feel like dancing in the fire just a little bit. I feel like chasing this passion. Yeah, we've got the Nine of Pentacles and we've got all these peacocks surrounding Taurus. I kind of think Taurus is going to have like a stay wild moonchild kind of moment, right? They've got feathers in their hair. There's like a Volkswagen bus back here. There's a sense of freedom, a sense of like breaking free of any kind of personal, let's say, restriction or inhibition, and just doing something that could be a little out of character for Taurus, admittedly. Maybe they haven't felt so attractive and sexy in a long time, and maybe they choose in the month of May to go ahead and indulge and feel empowered about it. You know what? This is, like the 60s and 70s were very much about that, that revolution, right? The revolution of self. I don't have to live by society's, conforms. There was a sexual revolution. There was, like women had more control over, the way they chose to, operate within, their own sovereignty for their mind, their body, their spirit. All those things were pretty prominent. I think we can say the music movement, the energy of sense of personal expression, all of that was kind of really celebrated, I'll say, during that time period. And it kind of feels like this is happening for Taurus within. Like they're not going to feel guilt and shame if they choose to pursue something romantic or artistic. They're kind of like, I think Taurus was on way too tight of a leash for way, way, way too long. And maybe they even have wanted, I could picture this Taurus going on a dating site, but intentionally not showing their face. And then finally they're like, why should I have to hide myself in shame? I want to date. I want love. I want passion. I'm a human. Can't I just want those things? And it really feels like in the month of May, it is going to be, I'm embracing this. I'm holding my head up. Yes, I'm dating. Yes, I met somebody online. Or yes, I feel like that. I feel like I'm allowed to enjoy my life. We have a 5 of Pentacles. I think poor Taurus has been without companionship or love in such a long time. Maybe that's why we see the pendulum swinging in the other direction. I think Taurus has been, at least they're acknowledging, God, I was so lonely for a period of time. I haven't had, someone to just talk to in a really long time. I really think this is Taurus breaking out of a place of loneliness and sorrow and acknowledging, yes, I need contact, I need conversation, I need human touch, I need warmth, I need love in my life. We have that 7 of Swords. I think Taurus lied to themselves for a really long time and said, oh, this is fine. It's whatever kind of lonely space I've been in. Taurus acted like that totally suited them. It was fine if they had no outside, support. Maybe this Taurus behaved like they were an island. I don't need anything from anyone. I don't need public displays of affection from a partner. I don't need sweet kisses or romance. I don't need any of that. No, that stuff is silly. And I think that that's not true. I think this is what the whole Tower is about. I think Taurus is realizing, I want romance. I want somebody to do sweet things for me. I want flowers. I want, a weekend getaway and a romantic, exciting thing. I want that. I think Taurus is way more of a romantic than they ever allowed themselves to be. And that, like I said, the dam is breaking. We've got the 8 of Feelings, which is the 8 of Cups. This is, I think, Taurus walking away from some kind of loneliness and joining their real wolf pack. I believe Taurus has needed to come out of isolation, and the month of May is a month that they do that. They have friends, they have companions, they have social engagements, they have people to be around, and I think Taurus has missed companionship, camaraderie. Now, I almost feel like, was Taurus in a long-term commitment at one point in time with a person who left them feeling totally alone? And for the longest time, they were like, hey, that's just how it is. It's fine. We're just not very affectionate people. And now it's like, that's not even true. I am affectionate. I do want some kind of love. And I think this is Taurus. It almost feels like we're dealing with a divorced Taurus who's really getting their mojo back, or they've recently finally ended a relationship that left them ice cold, and they're admitting that wasn't satisfying at all. And Taurus could fall into the arms of somebody new, somebody warm, wonderful, sensual. Taurus could have a really lovely connection with somebody this month that is a physical bond, but they also have a multitude of other like bonds to build in their life that are not, romantic in nature, but are still part of, if we're part of the wolf pack, then that's our group. I do think it's been far too long. Maybe Taurus was even isolated because of a previous partnership, or maybe they had chosen to isolate themselves. I don't know. For some reason, I don't get that. Very nice. So we have the Emperor coming in here. This is, there is still this huge sense of personal freedom within Taurus's realm, but I think Taurus has needed a connection with somebody that was both secure in themselves, but also would show that they care about Taurus. And I'm wondering if, remember the card that preceded this was the wolf pack, and the alpha pair and a wolf pack do mate for life. And the next card we get is that Emperor. I'm thinking that for far too long, Taurus was just by themselves, didn't have support, didn't have a powerful divine masculine, didn't have anybody watching their back, didn't have the kind of lover that they felt was really like a leader, or was their person who was really bonded to them. Especially like pack animals, they're super affectionate too. Yes, there can be a pecking order sometimes in a pack, but they're also super affectionate. I mean, gosh, look at how dogs behave. They're like, dogs literally, they want to be like near enough to smell you like all the freaking time, and it just feels like that could be the energy that Taurus goes from being totally alone, totally isolated, even maybe lying and saying, yeah, that's fine. I've been in a relationship where, they just, we haven't kissed or even, held hands in 10 months. And that's fine. We're just not really affectionate people. And that's not true. Taurus is super warm. Taurus is a huge lover. And now it's going to be the exact switch. It's like somebody who's going to cuddle them all night. Somebody who could have a lot of like furry body hair too, and that could be really appealing to Taurus. Somebody's warmth. I'm just seeing the furry wolf here, and I'm just thinking somebody who could have, like just everything about them is just very much. Taurus is aware of their presence beside them. They want Taurus beside them. That is such a change in the month of May to go from this could have been years. This may not have just been like 10 months, like I randomly spit out. Maybe this was a really, really long time where Taurus has been not held or cuddled in such a long time. And in this month, they're going to acknowledge, I want that. I do like holding and cuddling. I do want someone to snuggle with. I want somebody that I ride on the back of their motorcycle, that's like you're literally embracing each other while you're traveling. It could be that this is going to be a very touchy month, very tons and tons of physical contact. And I'm talking in just the companionship touch as well as the passionate, romantic card that we see here. But I'm thinking this really centers on Taurus perhaps starting a new relationship with somebody where it's going to be everything that they've needed, everything that they've actually wanted. And it's because they're admitting to themselves, I've been desperately lonely. That's the truth of it. I have wanted somebody to sit side by side and have their shoulder touching me. I like that. That's nice. I don't know why I ever pretended like I could do without that. I don't want to. Come on, Taurus is an earth sign. How much earthier could you get than, wanting to run with your wolf pack, wanting to be side by side? Have you ever noticed, like dogs, pets, they all tend to like sleep in little humps, little lumps of fur. They like to be, the word dog pile is because you've ever watched puppies. They snuggle. They're always all snuggled together. Adult dogs, similar thing. Oftentimes they want to be close to another like living, breathing thing. And I just feel like that's very much the energy of togetherness, closeness, both romantic and also just companionship wise. That's what's going to rule the month of May. Oh, Taurus, I loved that. I loved the kind of like loneliness is being vanquished in this month. I think that's so lovely. Let me get one last card. What's the advice to Taurus? I mean, if this is what they want to call in for themselves. 9 of Pentacles, 9 of Swords. The biggest hurdle that Taurus is going to have is to overcome the awkwardness of being, yes, Taurus is super successful on their own. Admittedly, this is a single person's card. And it can be tough to go from, I'm so single and I've been aloof for so long. I can't picture how am I going to like stop being aloof and then be ready to have like a partner in my life. I think the first thing is for Taurus to just acknowledge that they would want that and that they want to welcome that in. It is stressful. And I said, what's the advice to Taurus? And it says, of course, Taurus is awesome alone. Wanting a partner doesn't make them clingy. Wanting someone to be close to them doesn't make them clingy. So if they're worried about that, or they're worried about losing their autonomy, their independent streak that makes them comfortable totally functioning as a completely, sovereign and independent person, Taurus is never going to revert to being like uber clingy, but you can be not clingy and still have a ton of touch and companionship and, be around another person and still be a powerful, independent thinker. So if Taurus fears any of that, I don't think that that's a worry. I think the toughest thing really is for Taurus to allow themselves to welcome in that romance and, companionship and closeness. I don't think Taurus is a cold fish at all, but I think something in their life made them have to get really, really good being really independent and not relying on anybody ever, ever, ever. But I actually think this says, Taurus, you deserve to have somebody around you. You even want that. Call it in. You deserve this, love. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Bye, guys.